Good evening, Monarch families. It's back to school night, and it's music to our ears for us coaches and administrators and teachers here on campus. I did it. We're back to school. It's a wonderful thing. I'm Chris Holder. I am the Director of Performance here at Mater Dei. I'm in charge of the weight room primarily and the 9 to 5 hours, but I also supervise our sports medicine program. Myself, along with Bubba Reynolds and Stephen Thayer, we are the weight training staff here at Mater Dei. I know you've heard those names before, and at least one of those names. And we're in charge of all the things physical with your athletes. So we're not talking about skill-related stuff like throwing and catching and all those things. I'm talking about everything physical, taking it onto the field, into the water, onto the court. Our entire role here is to get their bodies ready to play. Our program essentially is an Olympic lifting program complemented by kettlebell training. But when we're programming as a staff, one of our biggest concerns are we want to make sure that we bulletproof the bodies of our athletes. And what that means to you is we really want to set the stage for them to remain healthy, to be able to tolerate the impacts of their sports, to be able to take on a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday evening, and that event for them not to be such a huge stress to their bodies, because the big stresses have been occurring at practice and they've been occurring in the weight room, and their bodies can tolerate the push of their sport. And so when we're programming, safety is our primary goal. And then we get into explosion and speed and strength and all the things that we really work on in here. So when my staff and I sit down and we're putting together all the programs for the teams, their safety is number one. Second piece is that those qualities that we're going to bring from the weight room onto the field, those then manifest over time. Okay? For those of you who have freshmen at home, our freshman on-ramp program started yesterday. What that means to your families and what that means to you parents is we've been working on this for a couple of years now, and I can tell you this is one of my baby projects. When I came on, it was one of the things that I talked about in my interview, and we're making it happen this year, despite of all the craziness that's been going on around us. The freshman on-ramp program is intended for the athletes to come in and have a very slow rolled out experience here in the weight room. I can remember when I was a freshman 100 years ago, walking into a weight room with senior football kids or senior water polo kids or senior basketball kids. It was intimidating. It's already an intimidating enough space as it is. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create an opportunity for our freshmen to get in together and just be together. So the element of the big senior kids not going to be in the space with them. And so that we can turn this into actually like a laboratory type experience for them. Think of like a classroom. As they were to come in and they start these first few months with us, we're going to spend a bunch of time getting their weightlifting literacy up and their weightlifting vocabulary sharp. You'll as you talk to your kids as they come home from their experience with us, if they're in that freshman group, well, what'd you do in the weight room today? And they're going to tell you for the next several weeks into the next couple of months, well, he was just talking again, and we were going over this, and we were marking this technique, but we haven't really touched any weights yet. And that's by design. We want to make sure that the kids come in, and by the time we reach the holidays, and maybe a little bit into that January, February time, when we start actually putting them under load, and we start handing them weights and asking them to move effectively with them, we being my staff and I, we want to be able to rest easy knowing that they know exactly what to do, that they can teach it back to us. One of my big things is, can you explain it back to me? Because if you can explain it back to me, then I know you know it. And they're going to get to the point where they're going to be able to explain it back to me, and it's going to be with everything that we do. And the idea is that it's not this first 6 months here. It's going to be their senior season or their junior season where you're going to see the real fruits of this project bear itself as we have really high-end training times their second half of their freshman year and sophomore, junior, and season times. And the final part of my presentation tonight is something that I wanted to touch base with you families, and I know it's a concern of yours, and I want to put this to sleep for you. How are we operating with the COVID-19 situation? How are the kids interacting in the weight room, in the training room, outside of the weight room, among their peers, and how are we doing our due diligence to make sure that we're safe? One of the things that I can promise you when this all began in March, and one of the amazing things about this institution is when this all started and we went into quarantine, within weeks we were, as administration, as an athletic administration, we were all getting together via Zoom, of course, And we weren't planning like, what are we going to do now? It was, okay, when we reopen, what are we going to do and how are we going to attack this? And we spent a long time putting together scenarios, working through problems, plan B, plan C, plan D, all those things, so that we can make sure that when we actually got the kids back on campus, we would make subtle little adjustments, but our plan was going to be bulletproof, and we're there right now, okay? The way we have the weight room set up, there are very specific entrances and exits that the kids know that they have to use. When they walk into the weight room, they have their face masks on, okay? And they train with their face masks on all the time. Trust me, it's one of the things that I have to spend most of my day working through to encourage them to keep everything as it should be. We have the weight room set up so that our spacing in the weight room completely reflects our 6-foot spacing guidelines, and we are in a place where we don't have to have unnecessary crossover and the potentials of contamination. And then all the people who are making the big decisions for your child and all those, many of us took a course through Johns Hopkins University on contact tracing and understanding the mechanics of how all this is going on. And so our ability to be effective as far as keeping your children healthy and safe, we've all done that work. Beyond that, we have a rigorous cleaning schedule that we attend to. When we have big groups come in and they exit, we have a high compression paint sprayer that sprays a fog type product that goes on everything that's been touched, and it disinfects everything, and then it has enough dry time so that everything's good to go for the next group that's coming in. And we've set up specific blocks after each one of the training times to make sure that happens. So when your child walks in the weight room here, they have face masks on. There are 6 feet of spacing between every child in this room. The weight equipment itself is as clean as it can be, and we as the adults in the room are being very vigilant about maintaining all of those standards so that we know we can send your kids home and they're going to feel great and they're not going to bring anything home, and we're going to continue to thrive as a community here at Mater Dei. So I appreciate you listening to my part of the presentation. I'm excited to get to work with each of your student athletes, and when we can, I look forward to seeing you all very soon.